actually writing, our main purpose is to write in God's country in that order. We're writing for the glory of God, and we're writing for His law, which supersedes all man law. It is foundational in our country. We believe that the heart of this nation is founded upon the principles of God's Word from the very beginning. You take the pilgrims that came across on the Mayflower, wrote the Mayflower Compact, coming for the glory of God, and the spreading of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I think woven within everything in our society, especially our foundation and our founding, is all based on God. And so for us as Christians in this country, for those who believe that, we believe that it's imperative that the Ten Commandments stand in our country, because it helps us to keep a direction on where we are as a society. Without the law of God, and we just take the dictates of man and their morality, we can go anywhere. But we need a moral absolute in this country. And God's law supersedes any man's law. It's God's law not because I'm telling you it is, or I'm not telling you that's true because it's true for me. It's true because God said it. And the God we're writing for is the God of all creation, the one true and living God. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's the great I am. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the one who is, who was, and is to come. That's the God we're writing for, and I believe that's the God of America. Now, yes, we've drifted, and we went our own way. But what we're writing for is to call the church in America and the people of America repent and turn back to this God. We're just broken over our country. We're broken over the way it's drifted and how far we've gone to the left, and the moral decay of where we find ourselves in America, the way we can see things going, and it breaks our heart. And so not only that, our message is to the church in America that, we've been the silent majority. We are mighty in number. There are literally millions of us out here, but the silent majority doesn't get anything accomplished. And what we're saying is, listen, it's time for us to wake up, to stand up, and to speak up to the glory of God. And so that's what this is really all about. I appreciate Mary Fallon, her stance on the Ten Commandments, and I know the great people in the state of Oklahoma, majority of them do not wish to have those removed. They're historical to our country, but it's imperative for our country. If we're going to be able to last and we're going to be able to continue to move forward, we have to have the law of God as our standard. And so that's the reason we're writing.
The response so far?
Man, I'll tell you what, the response has been absolutely overwhelming. As we ride across the heartland here of America, here in Oklahoma, as we go through the communities and we ride down the roads, the number of people that have just stopped and prayed and cheered us on has been absolutely overwhelming. And so we're just so blessed to be a part of this and to do what we feel like God's called us to do, and we have the freedom to do it. And we know that if we don't begin to stand up, that the freedoms that you and I enjoy right here, the freedom of press, the freedom of speech, the freedom of us in religion and all those things, there's no guarantee we're going to have those in 10 or 15 years. So it's imperative that now we stand up. And I want my kids to grow up in a country that honors and loves God. I want my kids to grow up in a country that stands by His law. And so, we're writing for lots of reasons, but the most important reason we're writing for is the glory of God and the honor of His Word. And that's why we're writing.
Amen. You talked about it right there, the freedom of religion. Your response to the people that say this is about separating church and state, and that it was men of faith who actually called for the removal of the commandments.
As far as separation of church and state, the history that I've studied, I have a different interpretation of what separation of church and state means, and so Thomas Jefferson, all those different ones, we can talk about history. But I believe the separation of church and state is so that the government itself does not have an overreach into the church, not that the church does not have an impact within government. There's no question that this country was based on God. For example, when we swear in a person in the position of the highest position in our country, the President of the United States, what do they lay their hand on before they take an oath? They lay their hand on the Bible, the Word of God. Why do they do that? Because they're swearing by something much higher than they are. They lay their hand on the Bible. If you go to the Capitol building in Washington, why do you see so many scriptures on the walls of the buildings? And why is Moses holding the tablets of the Ten Commandments? And why are they posted on the courtrooms around our country? Because we need to know that there's a law that's higher than we are. And the truth is, all man will be judged by that law. So it's imperative that we as a nation stand on that. And that's really the heart of what we're about.
You said this was an idea that came to you. You talked about it on Sunday, and you left on Monday?
Tuesday.
Left on Tuesday, and you're surrounded by dozens of people right now.
Absolutely. It's pretty amazing.
How does that make you feel?
It's just lets me know it's a God thing. It's not a man thing. This is not about our church. This is not about the men, all the people that are driving here. This is about God, and that's why we're riding.
Pastor, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just would like to, I really want to encourage the church to pray for revival for our country.
Amen.
Yes.
Our hope is not going to be found in the next political politician that comes along, the next president, not in the Democratic Party, Republican Party, House, Congress, or in the Supreme Court.
Amen.
I believe the only hope for America is this country, if it will turn its heart back to God. If not, the America that we know today will cease to be as we know it.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.